So we went to the bathroom and she tried to clean herself up after she went, and she turned and she looked at me and she had huge tears in her eyes and just crying. And she's like, I don't want to ask for your help, but I do need it. I want to do this on my own. I'm just in so much pain. And so just her frustration and embarrassment just really laid it out. And, you know, for people, I'm just like, I am there for you. I meet people where they're at, especially when it comes to being, you know, something so intimate. When we clean our bottoms up, we know the best positions that work for us, you know, that feel the least painful. And we know the amount of pressure, and we know how we like to fold up our toilet paper. We know all those things, but when somebody else helps you, the other person doesn't know. And a lot of people, they think like, oh my gosh, I've been able to do this my whole life, and now I need help with this.
Welcome to Aging in Style with me, Lori Williams. I'm an optimist by nature, and I believe you can follow your dreams at any age. My grandmother's journey with dementia ignited a passion in me to work with seniors. I've spent the past 13 years learning about seniors and aging. In my mid-50s, I followed my own dream and founded my company, where I use my expertise to help seniors locate housing and resources. On this podcast, we cover all aspects of aging. Join us each week to meet senior living experts and inspirational seniors who are following their dreams. The fact is, we're all aging, so why not do it in style? Hi, welcome to the podcast. Today, we are going to cover a topic that can be very uncomfortable and awkward to talk about, but we have the perfect person on who's going to make it fun and just a different take on this subject. So what we're talking about is, as we get older, there's mobility issues and other things that happen, and we'll go into more detail about that, but it becomes difficult to independently go to the bathroom. I'll just put it that way. We'll go into more detail though. But I was on Instagram and I ran across this lady and I went to her YouTube and I was just laughing because I love the way that she presents this topic. So let me introduce you to Maria Lindbergh. She is an occupational therapist and she specializes in helping people clean their bottoms after using the toilet. Okay, so that's like awkward to talk about, right? But just, I love the name of her course. So she created a course called Hard Time Wiping, Let's Talk a Booty It, which is so cute. And she shares toilet techniques and 4 options to clean your bottom easier. Maria hosts Toilet Talk, the show that loves pretty potties and hates ugly medical equipment on Instagram Live and YouTube. I just love that. And she has a website where you can find everything. It's toilettalk.me, and we'll be sharing that information with you later too. So welcome, Maria.
Thank you, Lori, for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Of course. I love your sense of humor. So I just think this is great. I'm glad that you agreed to be on. But to get started, tell us how you came to work in occupational therapy and what drew you to working with seniors.
Yes, absolutely. So I will go ahead and start off with what is occupational therapy. So I help people get back to doing daily activities that occupy their time, like going to the bathroom, getting dressed, anything you need and want to do at home. So as far as like, how did I get to occupational therapy? I started becoming a caregiver for my grandparents when I was around 19, 20 years old. And at the time that looked like just taking out the trash, bringing the laundry up from the basement, changing the light bulb, simple things like that. But as my grandparents grew older, it turned into helping them more out at home. And something that was incredibly important, especially to my grandmother, she said, I never want to live in a nursing home. I would rather die. Like she was very, like all of my family knew this. We were all on board. We all wanted to support her and my grandfather. And I am happy to say that my grandmother did live at home until she passed when she was 92. Wow. My grandfather was a little bit different where, Lori, we probably would have used your services had I known that you existed at the time, but he had dementia. And so after my grandmother died, he wasn't able to care for himself as well as he could. So my parents had moved into the home. They were helping him out, but it did come to a point where he needed that 24-hour care. He needed that memory care because it took two people to help him like get out of the bed, go to the bathroom, take a shower, all those kinds of things. So we did eventually transition him to long-term care. That's why nursing homes exist. That's why memory care exists, because sometimes it does get to a point where a person does need more of that help. But anyway, throughout my caregiving journey, I had also come across occupational therapy on the radio. I was listening to a story talking about the need for more male occupational therapists. Well, I don't identify as male. No. I was like, what is that? What is that? And I had taken this test after I graduated from college. Which career should I go into that worked out best with my personality? And lo and behold, occupational therapy was on there. So I went ahead and applied and went to school. And I love working with older adults. I love spending time with my grandparents when they were here. I was very close to them. And I knew just me wanting to keep them at home and helping them live their life to its fullest at home using occupational therapy or becoming an occupational therapist really aligned with who I was and what I was doing at the time.
Oh, that's perfect. I love that story. And, what I do is placement, but what I always like to share with people is I want you to stay home and stay as independent as long as you can. And if that's occupational therapist, if it's physical therapy, if it's Meals on Wheels or whatever it may be, then let's try all that first. But we want you to be safe is number one and independent. And that also looks like, when you go to independent living or assisted living or memory care, you could still benefit from occupational therapy as well. So it's staying independent wherever you are in this journey of aging. And and so I want to just kind of get into it. Tell us how you came up with taking this topic of, going to the bathroom and making it fun.
Yes, I started my career working in what you would think of as nursing homes. So I was working with people who were living in memory care or were in rehab, independent living, assisted living. I started out in communities like that. And I noticed that people were having a hard time wiping. And it is, a lot of common reasons that may cause that is, we as we get older, we all get wear and tear. So in our shoulders, our hips, our backs, and our knees, if we're not able to get into the best position that we need for wiping, then it can be really challenging to thoroughly clean yourself after you go to the bathroom. And so I would work with these people in nursing homes, and it was such an awkward topic. And one time I came across this woman who, she was really young. She was in her 50s. But she sadly had a knee replacement from hell because she was in the hospital. She had her knee replacement. She got an infection. Ooh. Okay. They gave her an antibiotic that she turned out to be allergic to. So that meant a longer hospital stay, more pain, more weakness. And so by the time I saw her in rehab, she was not doing great, at all. And so we went to the bathroom because it's very common for occupational therapists. We want to make sure you can take care of yourself going to the bathroom. This woman who I call Linda, it's not her real name, but Linda was totally fine. She lived by herself. She took care of herself before, no problems. And just because of this one knee replacement that was supposed to be simple, right? It was supposed to be quick. It really took her to this place where she was needing help. So we went to the bathroom and she tried to clean herself up after she went, and she turned and she looked at me and she had huge tears in her eyes and just crying. And she's like, I don't want to ask for your help, but I do need it. I want to do this on my own. I'm just in so much pain. And so just her frustration and embarrassment just really laid it out. And, for people, I'm just like, I am there for you. I meet people where they're at, especially when it comes to being, something so intimate. When we clean our bottoms up, we know the best positions that work for us, that feel the least painful. And we know the amount of pressure, and we know how we like to fold up our toilet paper. We know all those things, but when somebody else helps you, the other person doesn't know. And it's a lot of people, they think like, oh my gosh, I've been able to do this my whole life, and now I need help with this. So there's just that. So I like to, just try and keep it light. And with Linda, I told her, I was like, it's okay. We've got this. I'm going to help you today, but we're also going to look at other things that we can do. I'm a firm believer in you do not have to wait to recover. You don't have to wait to be in less pain. You don't have to wait to get stronger. You don't have to wait to lose weight. You don't need to change anything about yourself. There are ways with sitting on the toilet. There's ways with changing equipment around the toilet or to the toilet itself, using equipment to help yourself. There is always a way for you to be able to clean your own bottom up easier after going to the bathroom.
And it's amazing because I did a staying safe in your home talk. I think that or staying independent. And so I had just seen your stuff about toilet talk. And so I thought, well, let me Google and see, or actually I went on Amazon to see products to help people to take care of this. And all these things came up. But of course, I was looking at one, and I shared the story with you earlier, but I was looking at it and I'm like, I don't even understand how this works. So I watched the video and I had to do some door prizes for people. So I ordered that one, but it came in a 2-pack. And funny enough, it was a couple that won it. So we were like, it's his and her. Yeah. The wife thought that was hysterically funny. The husband didn't find it as humorous, but talk about some of these tools. And I know, and I've seen this also like on TikTok and other things, the bidets are becoming very popular and they're easy to install too. So talk about some of these items.
Oh my gosh. I love water. Water is the best, most effective cleaner for your bottom. Hard time wiping on Instagram. We are very much like, however you choose to clean up your bottom is absolutely fine and okay. But I am going to tell you why water is better for you. So first of all, the entire rest of the world uses water.
Yes.
It's more environmentally friendly, but also, like I said, it's better for your skin. When you use toilet paper or you use wet wipes, there can be some wet wipes that have chemicals that if you use for long periods of time, it can irritate your skin. It can also lead to skin breakdown. A lot of people, after they use a wet wipe, they don't make sure that they're thoroughly dry before they pull up their underwear. So you have all this moisture that is trapped, and over time, it can lead to skin breakdown, skin infections. I've even worked with people who end up in the ICU because they haven't thoroughly cleaned their bottom, or maybe they are using some kind of wet wipe. So it can be a combination of factors. I don't want to blame wet wipe industry. Don't come after me. I'm not blaming you for these people ending up at ICU. I'm just saying like that can contribute to those kinds of problems. So yeah, so I do love bidets. They are at these huge price points. You can find some that are really inexpensive. You can find some that are very, very nice, have all the features. But with picking out equipment, I would say it would be great to talk with an occupational therapist on what the best equipment would be for you, or you can consider taking my course too. But there are some factors that would be really good to consider. For example, so, back pain is a huge problem in the US. I think it's something like 70-something% of adults over the age of 65 have back, shoulder, hip, or knee problem. Okay. So that's a lot. And like not minimal problem, like moderate problems that are affecting their ability to clean their bottom, get dressed, showered, all those kinds of things. So it's a huge issue. So having an occupational therapist involved in maybe the bidet with the knob control on the side of the toilet isn't going to work because you're going to be twisting your back to try to use that, as opposed to getting a bidet with a control you can hold in your hand, a remote control, so you can turn on the water, adjust the water pressure, water temperature, those kinds of things. So that's good not to twist your back if you have back issues. So involving somebody in that is great. And there are a whole host of other toilet products that are out there. I usually talk about personal hygiene ones. Those are, I like to call them the shit stick, because you put your toilet paper on the end of it and help wipe your bottom.
That's what that couple won. That's what I ordered. I can remember but literally I was looking at it when it came. I'm like, I don't understand. Let me look at the video. And then I'm like, okay, I got it now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what my friend Linda called it. She's like, this is a shit stick. Like, what do we got? So we've got that. And there's also handheld bidets. They're like a water bum cleaner, water gun cleaner. If you want to think of them, they look kind of like kitchen nozzle sprayers. Most of them do. So those are very popular, especially in other parts of the world. And those are very inexpensive too. And then I'll also talk about other, like there's portable handheld bidets. I mean, you do have toilet paper, but also what's so important with being able to clean your bottom is some people need to change the height of their toilet. And some people also, not some people, I'd say everybody would benefit from some kind of grab bar or something to hold on to around the toilet so that you can, like, I know no one can see me right now. Right now, I'm actually sitting on a toilet and I have grab bars on either side of me. Yes. Yeah. I'll show Lori, but no one else knows. So.
I didn't know you were. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So I'm sitting on my throne.
I like all the grab bars. It's pretty too. Yeah. I like those. Yeah.
I've got a variety here. So there's all kinds of different grab bars, folding grab bars, just regular normal grab bars that you would think about, grab bars that lock into place. There's toilet safety frames. So there is actually a lot of different equipment so changing the bathroom setup, thinking about how you're positioned on the toilet, and possibly using other equipment that I mentioned before. All of those things. There's so many things you can do basically. And everyone is so different. And that's why most people can, try, they look at a product and they're like, okay, I'm going to try it. That looks like it could work for me. Let me try it. But there are some people who are a little bit more complicated. Maybe somebody who's had a stroke, maybe somebody who's had a traumatic brain injury, somebody with rheumatoid arthritis. Those are people who would probably benefit from having an occupational therapist work with them in their home.
That's very important because, like you said, there's a lot of equipment out there. And like I said, I went on Amazon, all this stuff came up, but what's right for each person, it's an individual type thing. So definitely get with your occupational therapist to figure out what's going to work best for you. You also have a course, Talk a Booty. Talk a Booty, yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's hard time wiping, but Talk a Booty it.
Yeah, that's so cute. Okay, so I just love how you bring humor into this. It's so great. You must have like your clients must be laughing the whole time, right?
I like to think so. I do like to come and like, let's party in the potty. Like, I'm just like, let's get to the bathroom and figure this out. And it's just, like for me, being a healthcare professional, I've seen it all. I know people can feel embarrassed about like, oh my gosh, I have to pull down my pants, or, oh, I'm going to go to the bathroom with this person watching me wipe and, all that. And that totally, yes, that is kind of weird, right? We don't do that with other people, but when I come in, people know what's going to happen. I still work in a hospital, and it's never a mystery what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. It's people know what's going on, and you've got to have a good time. You got to party.
It's a potty party.
Yeah, potty party.
Well, and that's so much better than everyone just being tense. I mean, like you said earlier, you can laugh about it or cry about it or do both. But I mean, I prefer just to laugh.
Yes, it's like, okay, if we're going to do this, like, let me have somewhat of a good time.
Exactly. So tell us about your course, Talk a Booty It.
So I teach people different toilet techniques and 4 different options to clean up your booty easier. So during the course, it's just a quick 1-hour online course. It has modules. So you're not watching an hour's worth of video at one time. You can pick and choose what you want to watch in whatever order you'd like. And, if you see something that works for you, that's great. With the toilet techniques, so there are some tips that I do like to share with people. And I'm not spoiling like all of it for sure. So there are some techniques that I'd like to share with your listeners for them to consider start using right away. So the first thing that I see with a lot of people is they are standing up and trying to wipe because they think it's going to be easier to reach when they're standing up, but it's actually better and safer for you to stay seated while you wipe or clean your bottom. And the reason being is that when you're sitting on the toilet, you have your feet on the ground, your bottom is on the toilet, so your balance is at its best. You're not just standing on 2 feet, you're not leaning against the wall, you're not propping one foot on the toilet. And those people, I'm like, are you trying out for Cirque du Soleil right now? Because why are you standing on 1 foot?
Oh my goodness.
But I know why. I don't call them out like that, but if it's somebody I could joke with like that, I will. But yeah, so standing on 1 foot, I know they're doing that because they think this is the best way for me to reach. And actually the truth is your bathroom is not set up the best for you if you're doing that. And there are changes that we can make. So yes, sitting down is the best, especially if you're a caregiver. I'm sure you've got loads of caregivers listening. If you're helping out mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, if you're a healthcare provider like me, working with other people, having your client sit down on the toilet is actually going to be safer for you both and more effective for you both. The second thing that I notice I see a lot, especially, and this is more important for people with female anatomy, is to wipe front to back. I do see a lot of people going the opposite direction, back to front. And the problem with that is we don't want feces where you pee, okay? We don't want bacteria going up your urethra, giving you urinary tract infections, bladder infections, those kinds of issues. So if you wipe front to back, that is going to make sure that you are good to go, essentially. So there's just a couple of tips there that they may sound like common sense, like, okay, Maria, I already do that. But I like to say them because you would be surprised at how many people are going willy-nilly and, doing things that are not as healthy for them as they could be.
I think those are great tips. And you're right. Like I would never have thought of someone who already maybe has mobility issues, like putting their foot up and trying to wipe like that. So
yeah, I'm like, no, what are we doing?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no. So that's great. And so your course, you came up with it because obviously you can't be there with everyone. And then this course is something you can share with people all over the country, wherever they may be.
Yes.
And so to access it, they just go to your website?
Yes, they can go to hardtimewiping.com, or you can go to toilettalk.me, and it's in the hamburger navigation right there. You can go straight to it. And I used to offer this course as a webinar. And that can be, I found that it kind of frightens some people off because they are so embarrassed. Like a lot of people don't want to bring up these issues to their doctor or other healthcare providers because it is so, and I don't blame you, okay? Because there was one time I had hemorrhoids and I'm a healthcare provider and I didn't want to talk to my own doctor about it. So I completely understand why people would hesitate. So it's that privacy. So learning about this information in the privacy of your own home when you want to learn about it, it's something that can be a great talking point. So for my grandmother, when I was her caregiver, she started to have issues with wiping her own booty. And it would have been nice to have a resource like this where I could just kind of say, hey, Granny, do you want to watch this video with me? And have us watch it together to, give her some ideas or have somebody talk to her in a way that I couldn't at the time, just explaining something in a very simple, easy to understand way so that we could have found a way for her to clean herself up better. And for my grandmother, she had urinary incontinence. That's so common for a lot of people. She was incredibly embarrassed about it. So I really wish that I knew more then so that I could help her. I absolutely, for people who have urinary incontinence, water is the very best at helping prevent urinary tract infections, making sure you're clean. People often feel very self-aware or they feel embarrassed because they feel like they smell. So they may not want to go into public more or have visitors come to their home. So having water to clean my grandmother up would have been a game changer for her. She would have wanted to be out of the home more often. She would have felt more confident in her ability to clean herself.
And you're talking like with a bidet would be like the water cleaning?
Yes. Okay. Using either a handheld bidet or a bidet seat. I probably would have got her a bidet seat. I would have got her the luxury
deluxe one.
Yeah, the deluxe. There we go.
With like the warm water and everything. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah. I have bidets on my toilets here at home or bidet seats and not actual bidets. I love bidet seats because you can put them on your existing toilet. In America, most of our bathrooms are too small to have a toilet and a separate bidet. So bidet seats, and my family members have bidet seats, and they're like, yes, we love these. So I've converted a lot of people to bidet seats. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny. I'm glad that you mentioned that because I know a lot of people may have been thinking like a separate bidet. But like I said, I've seen on TikTok just some kind of funny videos of people like installing bidet seats. And I didn't know that until the things you learn on TikTok, but until I saw that you just change it out and use your existing toilet to do it. How much, just out of curiosity, what's kind of the range in price for those?
Oh my gosh, you can find some for so cheap. You can find them like $40, $50. Sometimes I've seen some even for $30. So probably also like during the summer, you could probably find some for cheaper on Amazon because sales tend to be lower. So more businesses are trying to, help encourage buying. I'm also like, if it's, Mother's Day, Christmas, birthdays, that's the time to gift somebody. Baby shower registries, anyone who's pregnant, get her a bidet seat. She will she may not appreciate it at the time, but she will come to love it. So anyway, but yes, using bidet seats, sorry, I kind of got off track. Where was I going with that?
Just like price range and
price range. Yes. And on the higher price point, oh my gosh. I mean, how high can you go? And there are some that if you wanted to get a super fancy toilet with a bidet seat, that can cost thousands of dollars. There is one, I recently did a toilet talk on IG Live talking about plus size equipment for people to clean their booties. And honestly, my favorite, who I recommend for people who are plus size, my favorite online store for bidet seats is bidetking.com because they sell the BioBidet BB2000, which sounds very futuristic, but it has a loading capacity up to 450 pounds.
Wow.
And it's $700. So that doesn't include installation. But like you mentioned earlier, bidet seats are pretty easy to install. Now, for electric bidets, you do need a GFCI outlet next to your toilet so that it can heat up your water or, so you could put whatever water temperature you want. It has a heated seat, an air dryer. So to be able to use
an air dryer. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I know. I have my, yes, you have choices. So that really helps with the drying your booty part too, giving you options for that. Because if you're having a hard time, if you're using the water to clean your bottom, how are you going to dry it?
Good point.
So having the air dryer is fantastic for that too. So yeah, $700 can seem like a lot, but what I tell people is, this is an investment for you. This is such a long-term investment to make sure that you're at home, you're properly cleaning your bottom, which leads to great health benefits. I've been talking throughout, the entire time with you, how important it actually is to clean your bottom so you stay out of the hospital. It has such great health benefits. So yeah, $700 may seem like a lot, but it's just something very important to consider for your long-term health and your self-esteem.
I absolutely agree because I talk to so many people who have UTIs, recurrent UTIs, and in seniors with a UTI, it's very much more complicated. They can show if they already have dementia, it becomes worse. I mean, there's just things that happen that don't happen when we're younger and get UTIs. So I think just for that alone to prevent is worth it. That's really not much when you think of being in the hospital and rehab and all the different things just from having a UTI.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I worked over the weekend at the hospital, and I saw several people who had urinary tract infections, and they also had dementia, and it did make them, their cognition, their reasoning was certainly affected. They were not making good decisions. One person had eloped, so thank goodness she was found and brought to the hospital, but that sadly, that's not everybody. And that's why it's so important to clean up thoroughly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things that you don't think about. And as we're sitting here talking about it, I mean, even me working in senior living 15 years, I'm like, this is really important. And, I'm glad we're talking about it. So it's,
talking to booty it.
We're talking a booty it. That's right. Well, this has been so great. I have loved having you on as a guest. I love your energy, and I love what you're doing and making something difficult, actually very fun to talk about. So tell us again how people can find you.
Yes, absolutely. I am on a lot of different social media, but I'm most active on Instagram. You can find me at Hard Time Wiping, and you can head on over to my website, toilettalk.me. On my website, I have a newsletter that comes out every 2 weeks, and I talk about changes that you can make to your bathroom so you live at home for a lifetime. Like I said, we love pretty potties and hate ugly medical equipment. So I give you some ideas to make changes before you actually need to use any equipment. And so the newsletter is free. And actually today I'm launching my online store at toilettalk.me, where I am selling bathroom safety equipment by Ponte Giulio. They're an Italian bathroom safety equipment company, and I love them dearly. They make excellent, high quality products. So right now I have their stainless steel collection available on my website. I will be adding more products. So if you head on over and you have any questions, or if you want other kind of product, just hit me up, send me an email, and I'm happy to be in contact with you.
Great. Well, congratulations on the new store. So I'm glad it's today and you're on the podcast.
Yes,
great.
I know. Today is a fabulous day. Free shipping too. Free shipping on all orders. Wow, so you got to at least take a look for that reason alone.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for being on and sharing all this great information. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lori, for having me. And I'm so glad. I hope this helps your listeners.
Oh, I'm sure it will. And we will have all of Maria's information on our website too. And the link on the podcast, you'll find it. So be sure to share this with a lot of your friends and families, because it's important information and information people don't like to talk about. So share it and be sure to subscribe to the podcast. And we will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.